Hi guys, and welcome to my week 29 and week 30 update. If it sounds very echoey in here, it's because I'm actually currently in one of our studio rentals right now that is very empty. It's currently being remodeled, and so the sound is very bouncy everywhere. I did not get a chance to film my week 29 update because if you guys have watched my last update or my pack with me video, you'll know that we moved out and we moved into a large home that is big enough to fit our family of soon to be 5. So it's been very busy and very chaotic, but I do have a lot of symptoms and a lot to update you guys on for this last 2 weeks. If I also sound nasally or a little bit weird, it's because I just got over a cold, so forgive me for my voice. But let's go ahead and get into what happened this last 2 weeks. So I am currently 31 weeks and 3 days. But this last 2 weeks, there was a lot of significant changes that were happening to my body, and I think a lot of it had to do with how much I was doing. I was already feeling the widening of my cervix. Sorry if that's TMI, but I could feel the pressure of her head. I believe she's head down because I can see her feet up here, and I can feel the pressure of her head movements and stuff like that that cause lightning crotch and all the fun pains that come with that. So at 29 weeks, that really did start to pick up, especially just because of moving and you know what I mean, all of that stuff. I did start to get very bad heartburn and just getting very fatigued and exhausted very easily was something that I really noticed was happening to my body. As well as not getting very good sleep because you're in a new home and your body is getting bigger, and it was just like, I don't know, it was a very rough week. It honestly just went by like a blur, like that. So and then for week 30 is when a little bit more of my scarier symptoms had started to show up. We finally had moved into our home, and we were remodeling 3 other units that we were currently listing and going to be renting out to people. I guess if you guys don't know too, we own and manage properties. That's what me and my husband do together. And we do a lot of remodeling work and stuff like that. So there hasn't been too much I can help out with him because my pregnancy and just body and trying to make sure everything's okay. But I help out here and there. But I started noticing that I was having more frequent Braxton Hicks contractions, and then like every once in a while I would start having a real contraction that was like like you need to breathe through it, and it would like the radiate the pain through the back of the thighs and my bum and my back and my stomach and like lower pelvis area. So I kind of knew that like, oh, okay, like I'm taking it a little bit too far, like I'm doing a little bit too much, especially because I have 2 other toddlers that I'm like chasing around. So I definitely took it a little bit more easy, and then me and my girls both, all 3 of us got a cold. Thankfully my husband didn't because he could take care of us, but we all got a cold. So my daughter always, my first daughter, she always gets the croup cough when she gets a cold. So we just were all really sick and all just trying to stay in bed and kind of just get some rest, which was definitely much needed. So I felt like it came at a good time, as weird as that is to say, because it forced me to, you know, get some rest and spend some time with my babies. And I was happier that it happened when it did versus happening when, you know, the baby's here and us all getting sick. So my girls ended up both getting a stomach flu and then getting a cold, and then I got the cold as well. So it was kind of a bummer. But I think the cold went away, honestly, for me about 3 days, except for what is just like left now, which is, it's been like 2 to 3 days since I've been over it. So I'm just left with these like symptoms, just like nasal and sometimes like runny nose and stuff like that. But besides that, I'm doing a lot better. But one thing that was scary, about 3 days ago, I was sitting there in bed with my girls and we were watching a movie, and I saw like flashing lights going this way. It wasn't like the normal like dizzy, dehydrated flutters. It was like weird lights. And then about 4 minutes into that, I actually lost vision in my right eye. So I was a little bit afraid on just portion of it, not all of it. I was a little bit afraid that I was, like a detached retina or something like that. Thankfully, I didn't have my contacts in at the time. I had my glasses on, so I just took those off, flushed my eyes out, and just like it didn't go away for about 10 minutes. I just kept seeing it, and I felt very nauseous and very dizzy and sick. And the contractions were really bad. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. I must be very dehydrated, because that's what at my last doctor's appointment for my 30-week visit, she said that, the cramps and the contractions could be due to just dehydration. So I thought, okay, I'm going to just chug a bunch of water and see if it gets better and just like go from there. So I didn't end up drinking a lot of water, but I just had this feeling that it wasn't dehydration because I had been staying pretty well hydrated. And then over the next couple days, including yesterday, it kept happening at random times, but not as bad. I didn't lose vision, but I would see the like streaming lights, flashing colorful lights, and just have dizziness. And like it would come in bursts of all of a sudden, and then it would go away. And so it was very weird to me. And I thought to myself, I wonder if my blood pressure is out of whack, because I know I run at really low blood pressure. Like the highest I usually run is at like 110. So it's on the lower scale. But even when I was sitting there, I felt like I could feel peaks in my blood pressure. So it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and my husband was working with our plumber on this studio right now, and I had to call him and tell him like, look, I need to go get a high blood pressure machine because I feel like I need to go to the emergency room. I really was like, if we would have had a babysitter situation, or if we wouldn't have been in the middle of a remodel, I would have gone straight to the emergency room. So I was like, let's just run to CVS really quick so I can get a blood pressure machine, check my blood pressure, and if it's elevated, then we'll go in. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to spend 6 hours in the emergency room if I didn't have to, even though I do recommend you go in if you can. Like if you're able to, go in. But I took my blood pressure at the store, and it was 122 over 69, I think, like that, 69 or 70. So it was elevated, but it wasn't a high blood pressure. It was just elevated, and it was in a like cautious range, I guess you could say. So I went ahead and bought the high blood pressure machine, took it home, took my blood pressure a couple more times. It did go up a little bit more. And it was correlating with me seeing the lights. So that's kind of how I could tell, is when I started feeling dizzy and started seeing the lights, that my blood pressure was going higher. It hasn't gone higher than 124 over 73. And I told myself if it got up into like the high 130s or 140s, low 140s, that I would go into the hospital. But if not, it was just something that I would talk to my doctor about, because 140 is considered high, and then 160 would be like preeclampsia and stuff like that. So it is something that I'm going to talk to my doctor about if I continue to feel dizzy and stuff like that, or start seeing this flashing lights again. It hasn't happened to me today, now that I've gotten a lot more rest and stayed very hydrated and just tried to keep my stress levels down. So I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, what it was, but that is currently what symptoms I'm having right now. I finally gained a little bit of weight. I was sitting at 152.4 for about 4 weeks. I want to say 4 to 5 weeks. And I am currently now 153.7. So almost a pound and a half weight gain. So that's good. Weight gain has been something that's been on my mind because I feel like I'm very small, but a lot of people say that my belly is very big. I'm just a petite person, so I don't really know. My nurse practitioner that I saw in my last visit did say that the baby was very small. So I am curious to ask my actual doctor at this next appointment next week for my 32-week update, or a 32-week visit, if the baby is growing okay, if she's doing all right, if she you know, it has any complications or anything like that. And then what's going on with the lights and the headaches. Oh, that's another thing. Severe migraines. I mean, the light sensitivity was out of this world. Any noise, like even just my daughter singing, it killed me. I like wanted to cry. It was so bad. So it's been a very interesting couple of weeks. I am very, very, very ready to go see my doctor. And if anything does persist or worsen, I will be going into labor and delivery to check to see what's going on with my body, because I'm not a doctor. I don't know what's going on. There's only so much I can do. So thank you guys so much for watching, for bearing with my voice, for bearing with the echoing and the weird background. And I will go ahead and show you guys a belly shot of my stomach, and hopefully we will see you guys next week for my next week update. Bye guys.